First, I want to start off by thanking you, Motec, for giving me the opportunity. 209 Times is an agency that I feel that has really reached out as far as the city of Ceres. A lot of my constituents, they do rely on your messaging, and as well as I do, I'm sure you know I'm one of your followers. So just wanted to say thank you.
We definitely appreciate that. Shout out to everybody in Ceres. We know we have a real big following in Modesto as well. Also, Houston is a little town we got a lot of love at. So appreciate, a lot of times we do a lot of coverage on Stockton and the politics that are going on, and it's the largest city in the 209, but definitely love to get more input coming in from Stanislaus County as well. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, let me start off with a little history on my family. So my family came from Jalisco, Mexico, and my mother, she...
What part of Jalisco?
What part of Jalisco, Mexico? The town? Mm-hmm. The town is San Diego.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
My grandparents are from Jalisco, from Ponce Clan.
Is that south or north?
It's nearby Guadalajara, I believe. I want to say north.
Right. And I have family in Guadalajara too, so we're more along the border of Michoacan.
Okay.
So that's where my family came from originally. My mother came out here when she was a teenager, and she worked at the farm labor camp in front of Ceres High. And after they came out here, she went to school, I believe, for just 1 year. They went back, and then once she got married to my father, they moved to Los Angeles, and that's where I was born. I was there for about 7 years, and then we moved back to the city of Ceres. She felt that it kind of reminded her of her hometown. During that time, the population wasn't what it is now, so she said that the best thing that they had during that time was Kmart. So I grew up in the city of Ceres since I was a young kid, and I went through elementary school all the way to high school, and I pursued a career in fire as a fire technician. That's what I did for 20 years before I decided to run for office. Currently, I'm a football coach at Central Valley High School, so I do that, and I'm also a business owner, and I own my own business in the Central Valley. It's fitness, so I own a gym, and that's what I do on my off time when I'm not running around the city of Ceres.
Okay, so you've been mayor now this is your 4th year?
That's correct, my 4th year.
What would you say in the 4 years that you've been in office are your greatest accomplishments?
We can start off, but the one thing that as I came in was a question that was asked of me during an interview with the Modesto Bee, and that was the possibility of having a contract with the city of Modesto for fire services. And as a fire technician, I already knew what that looked like. At the time, I did hand it off to the previous candidate who I was running against, because obviously they probably had some prior discussions about it, and I didn't make any further comments. At that point, I decided that I knew at some point I wanted to bring that item to the table, and we successfully were able to do that, and we do have a contract with the city of Modesto for fire services. The reason why that's important is soon thereafter, roughly about a year after we received the contract, there was 2 incidents in the city of Ceres that were really huge, and if it wasn't for MST, we wouldn't have had that service that we would have had if we didn't have them in place. So that's a huge accomplishment in my personal opinion. Another accomplishment that I feel is also very important, and sometimes you want to think of these things as like milestones versus that would be a huge one. Another small milestone would be the military banner program that I started. I think that's been a success, which basically it pays homage to our hometown heroes, not only just veterans but also active military. And on those banners are some kids that I coached. One young man is a family member of my wife, who unfortunately passed away. So those are some small milestones that I can think of. Another one that's more on the long sides of me coaching football. So every year we have a rivalry from the 2 schools. So we're a football town, right? Mm-hmm. And soccer comes second because we're also a soccer town. So the crosstown showdown, I pawned the question, why don't we have this? So we decided to come up with, alongside the Ceres Unified School District, an actual parade that led up to the hometown rival game. It was wild. That day we had the sheriff's department fly by. We were on the news as well, and on Channel 13 News. I thought it was great. I think it's great for the community that we do those kind of things, because at the end of the day, we all know that I'm not your grandfather's politician. Mm-hmm. I see myself as a public servant, and I think the community wants to see more than just always the same politics, right? So I think giving back to our community is key, and those are some of the smaller milestones that I feel that I've accomplished in the last 3 years, including the economic development that has happened in our community. I don't know if you had an opportunity to go travel down Mitchell and Service Road recently. If you can see all the economic development that's happening there, that's huge.
No, definitely a lot of improvement you can see taking place in your city. So with that being said, you're running for a second term,
Yes.
which the election won't come up until later this year in November. What will be some of your priorities for a second term?
I think that some of my priorities that were started also as well. For example, I'm a big proponent of trying to make sure our community stays safe and clean. So public safety is important. Besides the fire department, I think that our police department is one of the and this might be a little biased, but one of the best police departments in our county. With that also comes code enforcement. As I came in and post-COVID, there was a lot of work to be done. And so we're having issues with the illegal homeless encampments, and a lot of folks were just dumping mattresses all over town. So we decided to come up with the innovative way to invest back into code enforcement. So we've invested over $1.5 million back into code enforcement. And that team is killing it. They're doing such a great job. I think that needs to progress. We need to continue to clean up our streets. I know that we're right in between Turlock and Modesto, and they just finished the homeless count. And I think that's very important to address. I remember I came out here in 2021 and visited Lincoln along with the mayor of Turlock to discuss the homeless issues. Obviously, Stockton is much bigger. They have much bigger issues when it comes to homelessness. And just going back to the city of Ceres, we're right in between. So although we may not have the big numbers of Modesto and Turlock, that's no reason for us to ignore the fact that the problem exists, especially when it comes down to our businesses that are struggling. We don't want them to have to deal with the illegal encampments in front of their businesses. We don't want that attention to be drawn to their businesses, and we wanted them to feel like that we're paying attention and that we're willing to go out there and help them. And so to all the businesses in the city of Ceres, anytime you need help, you're more than welcome to reach out to us. We do have an app, my Ceres app. So you can actually post something on that app and code enforcement will take a look at it, and it's all documented. The reason why I mention all of this is because the work is not done. And I think that there's an opportunity for us to continue that work so we can keep the numbers down. We don't focus too much on services, even though there are some services in the city of Ceres, but without a doubt. Now, the city of Modesto does have services. We've been in communication with all the cities. It's not that we would dump anyone on them, but the communication is there. So if they're providing services and we can work with them at the county, I would rather take that avenue. But we're not going to ignore the fact that the issues exist. So right before 2024 started in December, we passed two ordinances. One was the Clean and Clear ordinance, and the second was the infrastructure ordinance. And these ordinances are there to address the homeless issues that we have in our community. And going back to code enforcement, they're actually out there actively working with other organizations to provide services for a lot of folks that are homeless. For example, veterans. So they're passionate about that. And so they're the ones that are on the ground, right? So you have two components. You have the component of, yes, there's folks out there that are homeless, but we can't ignore the fact, and we can't allow them to be on our streets and do things that obviously you and I wouldn't allow in front of our businesses. Fentanyl is a big issue in our community, as well as Stanislaus County. We don't want to ignore that fact. We don't want to ignore the fact that if there is an illegal encampment, there could be some things that come along with that, and we want to make sure that those things are covered and when we clean up that encampment. So they might sound like it's a harsh approach, but in reality, we can't continue to ignore these factors. At the end of the day, there's going to be people out there who are going to support those who might need a place to stay, and they exist. But we also can't ignore the fact that we have to resolve this issue. And unfortunately, the way things stand now, and let's just talk 1 second about another issue, which is mental illness, right? So that comes along with it. Drug addiction can lead to mental illness. We can have veterans that have PST that are out there as well. They need that help. I know that Stanislaus County is actually introducing something in 2025 for mental illness, which I'm going to fully support, because what it does, it reminds me of Mexico. So in Mexico, there's specific ways to provide what we would look at it as a service, but they would actually, without your will, put you in a mental institution, because in Mexico things are run a little bit different. But that program has, in my opinion, has worked.
Well, it used to be like that here in California also,
I
and
do
then
recall. I mean, I think I might have been a little bit
I
younger.
believe it was Governor Reagan, Ronald Reagan at the time before he became president. I believe he's the one who actually ended that and shut those programs down in those state hospitals. I think they were called, or mental health institutions. So yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, I think that if we figure out how we can do better, then we'll be able to come up with a better solution. I just don't think that we should be ignoring those issues. We can't do it alone either. We also can't point fingers. Let's just be honest here. I think that it has to be a collaborative, and for being a small city, there's ways we can manage it. But at the ambitions that I have and the city council is to grow. And if we're going to grow, we're going to need more police services. Well, it leads me to my next segue. So something that I've always been passionate about is bringing back our street crimes unit. I think that's important. I think that crime in our community really does kind of plague our culture. It's always going to be there, but if people would understand, a person like myself who grew up in Southside Modesto understands what comes with that. Being a football coach, I understand what comes with that. Some of these young men, football is all they have. They don't have anything else. They're either they come from a single parent home, foster kids, and we've had some successes that have come out of the city of Ceres, and we have to give them the tools. And just also go back to homelessness. So something that I thought about, and it's not something that we can do on our own, but the school district does have a high number of young students that are homeless. What can we do to prevent them from becoming the homeless that are on the streets as adults? I think that's something that cannot just be done by the city, but also the school district, and they've done a great job. But how can we do it as a collaboration? What can the city of Ceres or the county or the state do to prevent these young kids going into that system? And there are programs that exist already, so it's not like there hasn't been any attempts. But I think that if we stop that domino effect, we will have less and less people on the streets. But it's not going to happen overnight, right? What we're dealing with now did not happen overnight. No. As you mentioned Reagan. Who knows? What if he would have kept it? What if he would have never did what he did? Would we be in this situation now? Some would say yes, and some would say no. But the only way we're going to find out is if we try to bring back some of those things that we had during those times, and those are obviously different times. So those are some of the serious things that I want to do, and just talking about some of the accomplishments. Just going back, I'm also the vice chair of SRWA. So we just opened up our new water treatment plant.
So what is that for our audience who may not know?
So SRWA is the water treatment facility that's a little bit past Houston. That is a joint part association with Turlock and the city of Ceres to provide clean water to our community members. I talked about this in the past. Affordable water. You have to try to figure out ways to help our constituents bring down these water bills. I can't do it on my own.
Especially right now, PG&E is trying to raise rates even more.
And it's like I said, it's not something I can do on my own. I've been advocating that since the beginning. We've been trying to figure out things in the background. It can be very costly. It can also be very costly to the taxpayers. Even an idea to try to reduce their bill as an option would be some kind of a rebate. But where is that money coming from? So those are the kind of things that we have to look at before we move forward. So clean and affordable water is key for our community, and we have that now. And I know that project is a long time in the books. My predecessor Mayor Vieira was on that project, and also Mayor Bublak, who's still there now, was on that project. She's told me the stories of how long it took to get there. I had just had the privilege and the opportunity to be on the tail end of it, which I'm very proud of. So I think that we could probably spend another hour on all these things, but those are some of the things that the community needs to understand. That there's a term that everybody says government works slow. The project for the military abandonment program took 3 years. Currently, we have another project that we want to start, and that would be the Diamond Interchange Bridge. So one of the biggest complaints that I get on Service Road is that it's a 2-lane road, and as they travel towards Central Valley High School, they're stuck in traffic. And so as I took on that project, I also became the chair of Stanislaus Council of Governments, which is a government agency that receives state and federal funds for bridges, for roads, Measure L as an example. We're very close to being 99% ready, shovel ready for that project. Caltrans has been on us since even before I was here to build that project. That would change that area, and that would help our constituents when it comes to not being stuck in traffic, safety, all those things are important. Sidewalks, and I'm sure that you've been through South Modesto / Ceres. You know, there was a time in Crow's Landing that they didn't have sidewalks.
Yeah.
There's parts of the city of Ceres that don't have sidewalks because obviously we're an ag culture. So we have county pockets. So that's something that I feel that I've been advocating for, even though those projects that are coming down from the county or that they receive from ARPA funds, I was there at all those meetings just watching and listening. And if I give you an example of what I was dealing with when I was living in South Modesto and Parklawn area, that no sidewalks, no connection to sewage. Just, you know, we had every year me and my father would dig out the hole in the backyard to clean out the I don't want to say the word, but so those citizens were talking about the same thing that I was dealing with, walking in puddles as I'm trying to jump on the bus to go to Westport 30 years later. And so I think that, you know, supporting and advocating for that from our county supervisor who represents our area, Chance Condit, is important. You know, I have to be at that table. I think that's important too, because we cannot continue to ignore these things, and it's very fascinating to see that in my time we're actually doing it, and that's what I think that is important.
Well, I definitely commend you for your efforts, the time you've been in office, and the accomplishments that you've been able to bring into fruition, and commend you on, you know, the continued goals you have and efforts that you want to pursue going forward in the second term. Anything else you would like to say to your fellow residents of Ceres and constituents?
Absolutely. The one thing that I will say, and I'll pan over to this camera, is that if you want to continue to see progress moving forward, elect me for another 4 years. We have an opportunity to continue the progress that we've been working on, and that's going to be the last thing I'm going to let the people of the city of Ceres know, that I'm here for you. I'm reachable. There's always opportunities for you to reach out to me, whether it be at my office, email, through DM, social media is a huge way to contact me. Just know that I'm here to listen, and I'm here and I'm working for you. I'm a public servant for you. So Mayor 2024.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, again. Shout out to Mayor Ceres and everybody else in the 209 in Stanislaus County, Modesto, Houston, that follows and supports 209 Times. And we're going to be a lot more active in your area and telling more of your stories and bringing more of your local leaders to sit down with us and have conversations. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. See you on the next episode. Peace.
Take care. 209, baby.
All right, cool.